So today we'll discuss about storage related. So we have already used one storage service, that is Azure Disk. So what is the purpose of Azure Disk? So whenever we create a VM, for the persistency of the VM, the data is going to be stored in the disk. Okay. So then here we have one more type of storage accounts are there. So Azure supports different type of storage accounts. So in this we have the blob storage, file storage, queues, tables, and the disk we have. Okay. So already we have used the disk because when we create a VM or VM scale set backend for the persistency of the VM, it is going to store in Azure disk. But here we have different types like blob storage, file storage, queues, and the tables. So what are the type of storage accounts we have? Here we have general purpose,
General.
blob storage, file storage, and blobs. Okay. So what is the meaning of blob storage here is blob storage is used for object level data. That means like maybe you may use OneDrive, right?
Yes,
Whatever the
sir.
data you want to keep, you can keep in the OneDrive and from anywhere we can access. In the same way, here in the Azure, we have the blob level
laptop
storage.
portal.
Okay, in the Azure we have blob level storage for this. And what is the meaning of files? Say normally we'll have the file servers, right?
Yes.
In
Mm.
order to
What I
access
was
the
saying.
data, we'll have the file servers like maybe Windows file servers or NFS servers. Okay, instead of maintaining those file servers, Azure is providing the files kind of thing.
Not good
Okay,
files.
we can mount that to files maybe using NFS or Samba, and we can access those also from the Windows and the Linux or Mac kind of devices. So if it is a Samba, you can have the UNC path, and that UNC path like maybe map drive we have. Like this we are going to use. And queues is like if any two servers want to communicate, there would be a message queue would be there. Okay, so Windows also supports Windows message queuing service. Instead of maintaining Windows message queuing service, okay, so we can use the queues. And temporarily, the tables also like we can use it. Okay, so that means it's a NoSQL kind of tables. Normally, we need to have a database. On top of that database, we are going to store the tables. Okay, so these are the four.
Four
So
types
these
of
the
data.
four types of storage accounts we have: blob, files, queues, and the tables. Okay, so what is the meaning of blob storage? What is the purpose of the blob storage? It's an object level storage. Whatever the data you want to keep, you can store in the objects. What is the meaning of objects is it may be a media kind of content, like we may use iCloud kind of device also. Okay, so what we are going to store in that is like whatever the media content you have, like photos, images, or graphic kind of contents, all these we are going to keep in the blob storage. Then unstructured data. What is the meaning of unstructured data is maybe CSV kind of data, Excel kind of data, Word documents, JSON kind of files, log files, archive kind of data. All these we are going to store in the
Blob
all these
storage.
the blob storage. Okay. And by default, all the data we are going to store in the storage accounts is encrypted. Okay. So by default, all the data is been encrypted also. Okay. Then for the high availability, say here we can plan for LRS, locally redundant, Okay, then zone redundant, geo redundant, and the geo zone redundant. That means whenever you use the storage accounts, we need to choose important of based on the importance of the data, how much redundancy we want, we need to choose. Okay, local redundant. That means here we are going to keep in the locally itself, we are going to keep it. Okay, so then zone redundant is across the three Azure available zones, we are going to keep it. But here this is locally we are going to keep. And in the geo redundant, it will be copied across multiple regions also. Say in the primary region, it is copying three times. In secondary region, one. But if you go for geo zone redundant,
Different across the
yeah, so both are, but if it is very important data, then better to go for geo zone redundant storage. Geo zone redundant storage, we are going to keep. Okay, so with this, what is the advantages? What is
high availability.
advantages? Yeah, high
High availability.
availability we have. Okay, so now here what are the options we have is local redundant storage, that's called as LRS, and zone redundant storage is called as ZRS, then geo redundant storage. So it
GR.
depends upon our importance of the data, because if I have replicated into multiple regions or multiple zones in that, definitely they'll charge more amount. Okay, so that's we need to consider. Even if we want later also, we can change this also. Okay, so which one we need to choose, that we are going to decide. And what we are need to do is we can move it from one storage account to another storage account also. We can move it. So here I'll come to Azure. The storage accounts. And locally, we can have a storage explorer. We can copy the files into storage accounts using storage explorer also. So here we are going to create a storage account. Okay, so now here we are going to choose the storage account. Say resource group. So it should be the unique kind of storage should be there. That name should be all over the globe. It should be unique. And 3 to 24 letters we need to use. So my storage, Cloudsoft I have given. So premium is for the less latency. And here this redundancy we need to choose. Okay, so now we have geo redundancy we have chosen. Then now here we are going to by default security also is going to come. Anonymous access not recommended to give. And we can integrate with even our Active Directory also. And this is the TLS version, better the higher version. And the copy operations from other storage account is supported or not. So then endpoints also, like maybe using SFTP we need to connect or not. So this you can enable this. Hot is frequently accessed data, we are going to keep it. So that means I uploaded a document. Most of the people would be frequently access that. That is need to keep hot. Okay, every day people are using that data. I kept only in my storage account, not access is infrequently. If I'm accessing, then the access type better to choose cool. Okay. So then for which they will charge less amount for hot or cool.
Hot.
Yeah, for hot they will charge little amount. And we are enabling the file shares also here. Then mostly whether we need to give the public access or only within the VNet, those all we need to choose. Okay, as of now I have given public access. And you can add a public internet access to access that resource also. That means to whom we need to give the permissions, that also we can access. So just like it's NSG kind of thing. Microsoft routing or internet routing we can choose. Then we need to enable the data protection also. So and 7 days we are going to keep a backup kind of thing also. Even if deleted, the data they are going to keep for the 7 days. And the encryption, Microsoft management keys we can use. Otherwise, we can also create our own keys that we can use it. If you don't provide any encryption also, by default using the Microsoft managed key itself, the encryption is going to happen. Okay, so once we create the storage, now we can enable the blob. We want blob storage, all these also we can create. And what is the purpose of the blob storage is, whatever the data you have, it's maybe even in the TB of data also, we can upload that. And the file shares also we will keep. Then like out of the box, what we can do is, normally to deploy the static websites, in order to use the static websites, what we use is like one web server we took like maybe Nginx or Apache or Microsoft IaaS, right? But if I go for the serverless kind of thing, without requiring any uh, server, we can deploy our websites using the blob storage. That means we need to do one tutorial. What is that is, without requiring a web server also, we can keep the data in the blob storage, and whenever we want, like that website can be accessible using one URL. In this scenario, what is the advantage is, it's a serverless. That means without requiring a single web server also, we can deploy our high available static website. For that, what is the service we are using is blob storage. So blob storage not only to store the data. So what we are doing here, serverless static websites also. And file shares, even whenever we create the file shares, that can be accessible to the Linux and Windows users. Even when we go for AVD also, those AVD also will have like access to this file shares, and blob shares also we are going to keep. Okay. For that profile management, they may support FS logics, but still the file shares, all these also is accessible to the users. For that, we are using again the storage account itself. Okay, so we created this storage account, right? If you go to this, so now we can copy the data from the, like upload the data, we can upload the data or open in Explorer. On the client side, what we can have is that storage Explorer we can have, and automatically we can copy the data. We can copy the data into that. And if you go to the settings, so which type of data you want, okay, allow anonymous access, all these kind of permissions we can give. And in order to access this, We can have a storage account key access also. We can have storage key access. And for the data lake, these are some of the data warehousing solutions. For that also, we can keep the data in like data lake kind of storage account. And what is cars? Cars is another account also we are going to give the permission. One, we are into one domain, but I want to give the permission to another one. Then we need to give cars also. Then here these containers are nothing but blob storage. File shares are NFS kind of thing. Here once we create the storage account, we can use for all this purpose. Now I'm creating a file share. I kept my ISO something I'm going to keep here. Okay, so then the maximum capacity I give 100 TB. And using the Samba or NFS, we can create the file share. Then you have your Linux mission or Windows mission. We can connect to this file share. Here we are getting a shared path, right? Okay, so to this we are going to connect it to, and all the data we are going to keep in this file share. Then anyone can access 1 TB or 100 TB. That is a huge. But normally for this we need to maintain the storage and the file servers we need to manage. Our NAS servers we need to manage. That's all we no need to manage now. So now how to connect to this from the Linux and Windows or Mac, I'll explain in the next session. And in the same way, if you go to your storage account, you can add the containers also. So that in that container you can keep your data. Say I have maybe media related content, log related content. So like this here you can keep all the data. In this we are going to keep our data we can upload. Okay, data we can upload into this, and we can enable static website also. We can enable the static website also for our website. And what is the meaning of shared access token is by using the shared access token, like users can log in, we can give the permission to the users. And for the single sign also, we can one-time access also we can provide. And to whom we need to give the permissions, all those in the access policies we need to give. So in AWS, what they did is like AWS has given S3 buckets for object level. So for the what is the same concept for S3 bucket in Azure? So in Azure for the S3 bucket they have given is a blob. Okay, say for that S3 bucket, what is a similar kind of thing is blob storage. For EFS, file
File.
share. Okay, so there they will call as DynamoDB kind of thing. Say here they're calling as tables. For SQS, here queues. Okay, so that means there in AWS we have the different services for this different storage, but all they kept in the single thing. In the one storage account itself, we can create all these depends upon our requirement. Okay, so those are called as storage account. Instead of going for 4 services, okay, AWS has given all these in the now for the tables and the queues, they have given enhanced services also. That is the reason no one mostly using storage accounts for the tables or queues. Okay, so they're not using tables or queues for that purpose. Okay, so those like people are using like a Cosmos DB kind of thing, service bus. So these kind of services people are using. So what we need to do is like we need to create these storage accounts. We need to have good knowledge on the how to integrate with the Active Directory and how to give the different access to the users and how to access those from the file servers, all this, and how to enable static website. So these all we need to perform. Storage also is very, very important for us from the infrastructure wise. Okay, so VM scale sets, networking, then our load balancers. After this storage account, then AD, all these are required to understand the AVD also. So then, like once we discuss intra account, all this, then we'll go for AVD. Okay, so meanwhile, try to finish VNet concepts mostly finish. Then we need to discuss more on site-to-site VPN and express route also practically we need to understand. But for express route, we have one challenge is we don't have that provider who is compatible for a leased line. That means from our office, our company will take a leased line with that provider. We discussed, right? Maybe BSNL or Airtel, Reliance. We should have that kind of private line. Okay, between our company and
Network provider.
yeah, between Azure we will have. Okay, that network private kind of network would be provided by that network provider. Okay, but site to site VPN we'll try to configure, but we can assuming one connection will have the express route also. Okay, so then we'll discuss Azure AVD. Okay, so before that, practice all these once.
So
Okay,
till now we had completed creating the VNets and storages and also
storages,
creating the image like you can
load
do before
balancers, load
load balance.
balancers. Okay, so then Azure backups also we'll discuss because all these are related to AVD also.
Okay.
So that is the reason I'm covering more infrastructure concepts, networking, and which are the prerequisites for Azure AVD. Directly also will create the Azure AVD, but you don't understand anything.
Okay.
If you know all these concepts, then what's happening in the backend we can understand.
Okay.
Okay. So then
Okay.
that Azure AVD can be integrated even with the Office, like Microsoft 365 or Intune also.
No. After AVD we'll go with
Yeah,
Intune,
after
sir.
AVD, we'll go for that.
Okay.
Okay, so that even for that network also, we need to understand Azure Wise, Azure Express Route, all these also.
No.
Then it you can manage. Okay,
Okay.
should if possible join at 8:30 this next session.
Okay.
Okay, sure.